Okay, enough of the theory. Let's actually dive in and make a QML application. So we're going to say project new. You can also just simply go to File, New File or Project, brings up the same window. We want application, and we're going to go down and let's do a scroll view. Notice I said we're going to make a QML application, but this says Qt Quick. Remember, QML is the language, Qt Quick is the foundation, the actual components that we're going to use to build that application. So we're going to make a Qt Quick application using a scroll view. Not very descriptive what this thing is. You kind of just have to take a leap of faith, but it's got this little icon that shows there's some things and we're going to be able to scroll them. I'm going to hit choose. We're going to call this QML for Beginners 2-8 because this is the 8th video. Put it wherever you want to put it. If you want to, you can set it as your default project location. Really doesn't matter. Build system. Build system takes your kit, which we talked about earlier, and goes through those little steps and actually builds the executable. By default, it's QMake. In future versions, specifically Qt 6, it's going to default to CMake. The difference here is subtle yet profound. QMake is built by the Qt company. They're going to maintain that for the foreseeable future, but in Qt 6, they're going to move to CMake. There's really no fundamental difference between the two. They both accomplish the same thing, albeit in very different ways. So when in doubt, leave the default build system. Minimal required version of Qt, I'm just going to say it. Just leave it as default. Unless you specifically need something in the latest, greatest version of Qt, just leave it as default. And new to this version, Qt Quick Control styles, you can actually determine what they look like. I'm going to leave that as default as well. That way no one has to guess what sort of style I'm using. The Qt Virtual Keyboard, if you're using an embedded device like a Raspberry Pi, you may not actually have a keyboard embedded or connected to the device. So the virtual keyboard pops, you guessed it, a keyboard up on the screen that you can move around and either touch screen or move the mouse and control. Translation files. You can translate your application into pretty much any language on the planet. However, you have to build a translation file for each language. We're not going to be playing with that because it's a bit advanced. We've already covered kits a little bit, but I want to touch on sometimes it'll be selected, sometimes you'll have none selected, sometimes the correct one will be selected. We're going to be using desktop. If you see anything other than desktop, like if you see Android ARM or iOS or Windows Tablet or some crazy kit made by Bob, don't use it, use the desktop. Desktop ensures that you're going to be able to follow along with what I'm doing without some sort of third-party emulator. And project management we're not going to use, but it's there if you need it. You can use some sort of version control. All right, so we're going to take this and I'm just going to hold the control key and I'm going to move the middle mouse button and zoom that in just a smidge. 120 seems about the sweet spot here, and we can really see what's going on. So we've got some imports, and this is all QML. Now the difference between QML and Qt Quick is right here. This is all QML, but these individual widgets or components, those are Qt Quick. Save and run. Let's see what this looks like. So we just simply have a scrolling view. What we can demonstrate with this is right out of the box. This has a lot of power to it. So how are we getting to this point? Well, in the projects file, you can see how it's Qt plus equals quick. So we're including the Qt Quick libraries. Then in the C++ file, we have our main entrance point. Remember, knowing the Qt core and C++ is a prerequisite. I have to keep saying that because somebody out there is going to just skip that and say, oh, I didn't go to school that day. But so we have our entry point. We are just simply setting enable high DPI scaling. That's for device. Some devices enable that, some don't. It's specific for cell phones, really. I actually shouldn't say specific for cell phones, but cell phones use that quite a bit. And then we're making a GUI app and just starting out our event loop here. Then we have a QML application engine. Whew, big long class name, but basically this is the engine that's going to run the actual file. And you notice right off the bat, this is in a resource. Previous versions would actually have these QML files out on the hard drive, and you would have to distribute the binary and the QML file. That's all a thing of the past. Now everything's compiled right in as a resource. So you just have to distribute your binary with the Qt libraries, of course. Then we have a QObject connect. We can really just safely skip over that, but really what that's doing is just some safety checking and saying, hey, if it's not the right URL and object, then we're just going to exit with an error of -1. The magic really is engine load URL. So we're just loading this into the engine. So this is what's getting loaded, because here's our path here, and it's just the QML file. It's pretty simple, pretty elegant.